This is where the action is, the Sydney Cricket Ground, one of the hallowed stadiums in Australian cricketing history, where within 100 hours, India and Australia will clash for a place in the World Cup final. It just can't get bigger than that. And over the next half an hour, we at Headlines Today will review India's performance in the World Cup so far, and also preview the big semi-final between India and Australia. Sourav Ganguly and Nasir Hussain to review India at Cricket World Cup 2015. 4 teams, 3 matches, 2 hosts and 1 winner on the 29th of March. That's what remains of this World Cup. We now have the best 4 teams to compete with each other in the semi-final. I spoke to Sourav Ganguly, who sets up the semi-final clashes for us. Take a listen.
It's time for close contest, especially the teams which have qualified for the semi-finals. They're good in all departments, batting, bowling and fielding. You look at some of the other teams who've played in the quarterfinals. Pakistan, not a good batting side, not a great fielding side. West Indies, up and down, very ordinary bowling team, not a great batting side. The other teams with Bangladesh, obviously in a different league. So these are the teams which have actually not matched each other on every aspect of the game. But when you look at South Africa, when you look at New Zealand, when you look at Australia, and when you look at India, all 3 sides have good bowling, good batting, good fielding. And when you have sides with all this talent, there cannot be mismatches. And I hope it's a close semi-final. The good thing is the right teams have qualified for the semi-finals in terms of ability, and I think both the games will be an absolute cracker of matches.
4 teams eyeing glory. Each of them have played great cricket. But what matters to you and me, Indians, is what Mahendra Singh Dhoni's team is doing or will do. They have been outstanding in this competition so far. 7 wins out of 7 on the trot, taking each side completely apart. They have played like an absolute champion team. Yes, like defending champions. Yes, whatever it takes to get the cup back. Yes, we will not give it back. Clearly, they go into the semi-final against Australia, rising high on confidence.
I'm surprised after what we saw in the Tri-Series, but expected after what we've seen in India over the years in ICC tournaments, to be honest. They've always been brilliant, or recently they've been brilliant in ICC tournaments. They just seem to be able to switch on and switch on so well. They've been absolutely magnificent.
Intensity on a cricket field is most important when you play big games, and when you look at this Indian team, there's a buzz. There's a buzz especially when they bowl. Batting, you can understand, it's one player at a time, they're half sitting in the dressing room. But on the field, you just look at this unit. They're patting each other's back, they're running around. Suresh Raina, Jadeja, Mohammad Shami's teaming in, Umesh Yadav's teaming in, Mohit Sharma, who's himself lifted his game to another level. Everyone.
Their energy in the field in particular was brilliant. I mean, they've been on the road for so long, and yet still to have all that energy was outstanding.
Everyone has just got the team to get up, and it's a terrific side. And as I said, India have a lot of strengths. Their batting, their bowling, which was supposed to be a weakness, has just gone to a different level, and it's a side which can go the distance in this World Cup.
I've been critical of them in the past, that they've been a bit slow in the field. That's about 4 or 5 years ago, and I think Fletcher has had his way slightly, making sure that he gets them fitter, making sure that they're running hard, training hard, making sure that they're in the gym. And it only takes 1 or 2, like someone like Jadeja. I think he's a magnificent athlete. That run out he did yesterday, the way he slid, picked up, through, the awareness as well. You could see Dhoni pointing. And that's what I mean about the energy in this side. If this was a tired side that had been out here for so long, and then England before that, that run out would not have happened. So they are very aware and very switched on, especially in the field. See Bangladesh, after the drinks break of about 32 overs, Bangladesh completely lost the plot. Their captain was shouting at everyone, arms were waving around. They weren't a team. But Dhoni, he's got them together as a team. After every wicket there's a huddle. And not just a huddle for a show, look at us boys, the cameras are on us, let's have a huddle. I think honestly, they are enjoying each other's performance. You can see Raina every time, Dhoni's catch and the smile on Dhoni's catch. And Raina went up to him and gave him a big hug and pulled his face and everything. I think they are really enjoying each other's company and each other's success.
Let's start with people at the very top, India's batsmen. They were always favoured to do very well, and they've done it outstandingly so far. Somebody or the other has put their hand up. Here's a look at the people who did the country proud in the quarter-final, and also at someone who perhaps failed, but is the man to look up to in the semi-final. Rohit Sharma, Suresh Raina and Virat Kohli.
being an Indian cricketer, you have to do it all the time. You go 3 weeks without a run and everyone will start questioning you. You have to do it in all forms of the game, otherwise people question you because of what's gone before him. Because he's not compared with an English batsman or a West Indian batsman, he's compared with Dravid and Tendulkar and Ganguly and Lachman and all the greats and Sehwag. So you can't just be ordinary as an Indian batsman, you have to be a great. And that was a great innings yesterday. India were in a bit of problem at drinks, 32 overs, they were 120 for 3, and it could have gone either way. The Suresh Raina LBW decision, just that much. But Rohit realised that just stay in, get used to the pace of the pitch, and he can catch up later. Look, I saw Rohit bat about 6 years ago in England. He was just in the net, and I was walking over to Fletcher to have a word with him, and I looked at him and I thought, cool, he wasn't in the side then. I thought, why is this lad not in the side? I think it was a one-day series or something. And I went to Fletcher and said, why isn't this lad in the side? And he said, he can play, he will be soon. And ever since that day I saw him, I've always thought Sharma's a brilliant batsman.
Virat Kohli, due. Quarter-final missed out.
Yeah, you
Big
never know.
match.
Yes, big match, you never know. And his confidence against the Australians must be sky high. 4 Test hundreds in 4 games.
Yeah.
And he will be feeling that when he walks out to bat in Sydney, he got a Test match 100 in Sydney. When he walks out to bat, that thinking that this is the side which I have just plundered runs a couple of months ago and batted with real disdain. He'll be feeling good, and if he fires, India wins.
We've not celebrated Raina so much. We've talked about Kohli and Rohit and Rahane. But Raina in that match against Zimbabwe, in the match against Bangladesh, the match against one more match before, he turns it on. I mean, he's a bit of a Glenn Maxwell, or even he's a more experienced version, but he's a very key cog in that Indian wing.
Brilliant. I mean, the stat that they haven't lost a wicket in the batting power play throughout the tournament is just remarkable, really. And Raina's got a lot to do with that, because he bats in that power play. So something I like about India, and it comes from success, everyone knows their role in the side. Top 4, bat through, get 100. Raina comes in the power play, smashes it everywhere. The moment the power play was taken, Raina smashed the spinner for 6. Brilliant. And he goes on and he allows just Rohit to bat around him. Then Dhoni comes in to finish, and Jadeja comes in to finish after that. So everyone knows their roles. And Raina, I think Raina's been brilliant. I think that knock against Zimbabwe was very important for him, because it just means there's another player in the Indian side who's in form.
It's time to slip into a short break here on the show, but on the other side, we take a look at what was supposedly India's weak link, but now has turned into India's biggest strength, the bowling. They've taken the world by storm. Umesh Yadav, Mohit Sharma, Mohammad Shami and Ravichandran Ashwin. Let's take a look at the Indian bowling, something that has taken the entire world by surprise and perhaps is the biggest talking point of this World Cup so far.
It is, especially in these conditions. Maybe in India where it's spinning everywhere and you're thinking, especially touring sides struggle. But in Australia, these pitches have been flat. They've not been seaming, swinging minefields. 300 has been sort of par score. So for them to bowl sides out convincingly, and to bowl them out not with spin, to bowl them out with seam and then a bit of spin in, Ashwin, has been brilliant. They will be tested more. Saurath's point to you the other night about the last 3 games have been Ireland, Zimbabwe, Bangladesh, and the next game either Pakistan or Australia. They've got to be concerned if they carry on bowling short, maybe against Australia, the likes of Warner and Finch and Smith will take them on better than Bangladesh.
The clock here at the SCG is ticking. Clearly the stadium is getting all decked up. India v Australia, Dhoni versus Clark, Ashwin versus Maxwell, Stark versus Dhawan. There were many mini battles within this mega battle. And here's what our experts have to say about this contest. Who start favourites? Does India have a chance? Can Australia make it on home soil? Take a listen.
It's not going to be easy, but if India have got a magnificent top 4, they really have. They're test match players. So the one for me is Dhawan outside that off stump with the left armers at times. Just, when Jimmy Anderson went round the wicket, I know he's right armour, but the left armour's going across him, they'll have their slip cord in Australia. So he's just got to be careful early on outside that off stump. But India, so much IPL, they're used to Yorkers, bouncers, they play so much white ball cricket, 20-over cricket. That's nothing new to them. They've also had left armours over the years that they've played against, the likes of Zahir and RP, etc. So it's not a new phenomenon for an Indian batsman. They're just very good bowlers, and that's a World Cup semi-final. There's no easy games anymore.
I think India will deal, and the way they dealt with Mitchell Johnson in the test matches, I think Mitchell Starc has been outstanding. It's the new ball, they'll have to be careful. But if you're an Indian side, if you're an Australian side, you will expect stiff resistance in a World Cup semi-final. You're not playing a club game that you'll turn up, you'll win, and you go home. It's not going to happen. That's why you're world champions. And India beat them in the quarterfinals in Ahmedabad last time. Yes, you can say home advantage, but you still have to win a cricket match. And I think both will start even Stevens here. Anybody can win. All the 4 semi-finalists, anybody can win. Dare Australia go overconfident with India? Yes, toss will be crucial. Whoever wins the toss on that Sydney pitch will have a huge advantage because they're good batting sides, and they're batting sides who they have players who, if they get in, can take the game away. You look at Finch, Warner, Smith, Maxwell himself, Clark, Watson, one after the other. They just can take the game away. And the same thing with India. Whoever gets in can take the game away. So it's not that easy a contest for Australia. And if Maxwell has said that, if Warner has said that, it's just an opinion from someone who's seen it from very, very close that it could hurt them. Yes, they are a great side. They look the most balanced of the one-day sides in the World Cup, with Faulkner coming at 8, Johnson at 9, and Starc at 10, and even Hazelwood at 11. They've got all the balances which is required for a team to win. And I thought they played the exceptional balance in Pakistan, against Pakistan, not going with Xavier Doherty and playing Josh Hazelwood. I thought they've picked the right side, but this Indian team has looked on a different platform in this World Cup.
Key battle is going to be Maxwell against Ashwin, because Maxwell has gone after Ashwin and taken him on, and if Ashwin can win that battle, that will go a long way towards winning the game.
It takes one ball to get a batsman out, and if I was Ravichandran Ashwin, I will be backing myself. Yes, I might get hit. He will come at Ravichandran Ashwin, but at the same time it'll give an opportunity to Ashwin to pick wickets. So it's not going to be a one-sided game. It's a big ground in Sydney. I know he's got a big 100, but he's due to fail as well. So I wouldn't be, if I'm Indian captain, if I'm Ravichandran Ashwin, I wouldn't be thinking of Maxwell alone. I will be thinking of the Australian unit. 53 for 3 Maxwell walks in, or rather 100 for 4 Maxwell walks in. Then we'll see how he swings it into. There isn't a great spinner, but in one-day cricket, at times you don't need a great spinner. You need a great spinner in test matches, where you have to actually get batsmen out. One-day cricket, sometimes with pressure, your spinners get wickets, and it happened against Pakistan. Misbah and Umar Akmal, Maxwell got 2 wickets because the other fast bowlers at the other end were putting so much pressure on the batting. It was a release bowler for all of the Pakistani batsmen, and Maxwell finished with 2 wickets. And I think it's that weakness which will be covered by their fast bowlers. Other than that, I think the biggest challenge which Australia will have to answer to themselves is the expectations back home. 1992, when it happened last time in Australia, they didn't even qualify. But this time they've made it to the semis. Sydney will be divided. There will be blue and there will be gold on the ground.
Perhaps more blue.
May not be because the Australians will come and support them. Sydney it is. It's Australia's base. It's a ground which has been very, very kind to Australia, and there will be thousands and thousands of Indian fans and Australian fans. So I don't think, and I don't know who will rule out the other, but that's the biggest expectations. Australia will have to take care of it. They walk into the hotel staff, while giving their room keys, will say, "We want you to win." They go to a restaurant. They will be told, "We want you to win." The families would want you to win. The chauffeur would want you to win. They'll quietly put in a word, "All the best." And these things slowly get into you. And if Australia can overcome that, I think they've got the side.
Michael Clarke versus Mahendra Singh Dhoni.
Oh, gee, what a battle that is. Well, Dhoni in one-day cricket, Clarke in test match cricket, but you can't beat Dhoni I think even Michael Clarke would admit, in one-day cricket, the present greats of the game, captains of the game, you only have to look at MS Dhoni, but Clarke on his home soil at the SCG, he's a canny little cricketer. He will go after Dhoni, definitely.
Dhoni's ahead because of the number of wins he's got in one-day cricket. Not in test matches. Michael Clarke is a much better leader in test matches, but when it comes to one-day cricket, Dhoni's miles ahead from most of the captains around the world at the moment. And he's been outstanding in this World Cup. His field placements, he's got the boys to get going. He's done a wonderful job, and he has got the experience of winning a World Cup, the feeling of winning a World Cup back home. And I think in terms of that, they're ahead. But other than that, there's very little to choose between the two teams.
I think Dhoni's been around so long now. The guy has soaked up so much pressure and been in so many tough situations. Eventually, even Dhoni has to have a bit of an on-off switch. And I think he at times has to switch off. You can't just be on all the time, otherwise the game will send you completely mad, especially as an Indian captain. You're constantly under the spotlight. So I think of late he has switched off a bit, Test match cricket. He has switched off Tri-Series a little bit. But the moment it's a big tournament, he knows he's going to be judged. What's he won, 11 in a row now? He won't be remembered for the 11 in a row. He'll be remembered if he loses the next one. So he has to focus all his energy on the next game. And I think he just realises he'll be judged on this World Cup. So he saved all his energy. Which way round would Indian fans prefer it? They win the Tri-Series and knocked out in a quarter-final, or just lose the Tri-Series and win the World Cup? They'll want to win the World Cup.
That's all we have for you in this very special presentation as we do this build-up, this mega build-up to the India v Australia semi-final here in Sydney. From the Sydney Cricket Ground, as I sign off with a promise that on Headlines today, we will bring you the best coverage from down under with the best of experts. Sourav Ganguly, Nasir Hussain, Sachin Tendulkar, Andrew Simons, Harbhajan Singh, Nikhil Chopra, and I will be bringing you all the news from here down under.